In fact, there's a lot of evidence for large-scale surrenders at this point, and I think the Russians have done a very good job of sending messages to the opposing Ukrainian forces telling them, look, there's no reason for this to continue, you don't need to die. You surrender weapons, we'll feed you, we'll take care of your wounded, and then we will actually send people with you to the detention area. You will be treated well, and as soon as this war is over you could go home. And so it's made it much easier for large numbers of Ukrainian troops that would otherwise feel obligated to stay and die to give up. Welcome to today's exclusive update on the escalating tensions in Eastern Europe. As the drums of conflict beat louder in the Russia-Ukraine war, today's coverage peels back the layers of strategic maneuvers and psychological warfare reshaping the contours of this intense battlefield. From sudden offensives to strategic retreats and covert operations, we bring you the most critical updates, analyzing the ripple effects through the lens of experts, including insights from former U.S. Colonel Douglas Macgregor. Prepare to be immersed in a detailed narrative that exposes the harsh realities and the chess-like maneuvers of warfare. Stay with us as we unravel the complexities of a conflict that continues to shape global geopolitics. Turning our focus to a pivotal sector in the ongoing conflict, the strategic triangle formed by Amanki, Neil and Yasnobroa has witnessed a dramatic shift in control. Russian forces executed a decisive mechanized assault, cutting through the heart of this defensive formation. This operation involved a formidable deployment of up to 50 tanks and armored units. Last week, despite the loss of approximately 10 of these units, the offensive achieved a breakthrough, compromising the integrity of the Ukrainian defense network in this crucial junction. This calculated move not only fractured the Ukrainian front line but also resulted in the capture of an entire battalion, totaling around 200 troops. This has significantly heightened the stakes for the Ukrainian forces struggling to hold their ground. Hostilities have intensified in Novomka and Chernohorka, with a renewed Russian offensive making significant inroads. Particularly, the town of Netailove became the focal point of this afternoon's assaults. Russian forces concentrated their efforts on a central thrust, supplemented by flanking maneuvers towards Zamansky from the north, and potential coordinated attacks from the east as the day concludes. These movements signal imminent changes to the remaining defensive clusters in these zones. In a bold display of military strategy, the Russian command severed the vital link between these three strongholds, leading to a precarious situation for the Ukrainian defense. This offensive not only showcased the deployment of significant armored strength but also marked a continuous push for territorial gains despite the adverse cities faced. As we delve deeper into the consequences of these strategic maneuvers, the ongoing battles around these key locations are reshaping the theater of war, setting the stage for the next phase of this intense conflict. With a clearer picture of the situation in this contested triangle, let's now explore how these developments influence the broader tactical landscape, where each move brings unforeseen challenges and shifts in momentum. In the wake of a fierce Russian assault, key units of the Ukrainian defense, notably the right sector battalions, found themselves outmaneuvered and in a precarious retreat. This strategic withdrawal saw the abandonment of substantial heavy weaponry as they repositioned across a vital river toward Charofar. This tactical fallback, marked by significant military disarray, highlights a pivotal shift in the dynamics on the ground. The retreat underscored the growing pressures faced by Ukrainian forces, particularly as they regroup under the looming threat of further Russian advances. The battlefield near Charov Yar has become a focal point for both conflict and strategic withdrawals. Intense clashes have erupted in the central regions near Charofar, with Russian forces pushing into the outskirts, effectively bisecting the village with a canal now serving as a stark dividing line. Today, additional territories above the village were seized, pushing deep into residential zones and nearing the northern battle lines. Ukrainian forces responded with robust counterattacks from all around the village, with particularly fierce engagements to the village's flanks, where Russian troops continued to press against the positions held by the Kanina units. Further compounding the situation, recent allegations suggest a significant breakdown in command within the Ukrainian ranks, specifically concerning General Syrski's leadership. Accusations of his Russian heritage have fueled distrust among the ranks of Right Sector and ISAB units, leading to outright disobedience. This internal strife culminated in these units withdrawing from their defensive positions, leaving behind their heavy equipment which swiftly fell into Russian hands. The fallout from these events has led to a reassignment of troops and an impending re-evaluation of command effectiveness. This afternoon, General Syrski attempted To redeploy the AAB unit to the conflict zone in Charofar, initial reports indicate hesitation and non-compliance among the ranks, highlighting possible psychological warfare and disinformation campaigns by Russian forces. In recent days, Russia has intensified these efforts, broadcasting ultimatums to Ukrainian soldiers threatening severe bombardments if they do not surrender. Such tactics aim to fracture Ukrainian morale with the looming threat of devastating Fab 150 bombs, a weapon that survivors describe as profoundly traumatic. With the Ukrainian forces grappling with internal dissent and the psychological onslaught from their adversaries, the southern flanks detail relentless combat and strategic offensives, underscoring a conflict that is as much psychological as it is physical. As we continue to track these developments, the evolving tactics and the resilience of the Ukrainian forces will play a crucial role in shaping the future course of this conflict. Stay tuned as we delve into the intensity of the ongoing battles in the southern sectors. As the battlefront shifts southward, we zoom into the relentless conflict in Novomyva and CR-Noa, where Russian military efforts are intensifying. The push towards these central sectors has seen a methodical advancement, though currently constrained, signaling a strategic calculation in the midst of ongoing confrontations further east. The strife in Novak MVA grows increasingly grim as Russian units consolidate their hold, tightening the noose around key Ukrainian positions. Utilizing strategic foresight, Russian commanders are orchestrating advances from the north, edging closer to critical locations such as Ord. This maneuver is part of a broader strategy aimed at encircling Ukrainian forces, a move designed to sever logistical lifelines and isolate key defensive outposts. In these zones, the orchestration of troop movements and logistical deployments by Russian forces underscores a tactical acumen geared towards disrupting Ukrainian command and control capabilities. The intensity of this segment of the conflict is not just about territorial gains, but also about weakening the adversary's operational coherence. With the tightening of Russian control in these pivotal southern and central sectors, the situation in the north stands in stark contrast. Here, Ukrainian forces are not just holding their ground but actively countering with strategies that underscore their resilience and tactical ingenuity. As we continue to monitor these developments, the unfolding scenarios in the southern battlefronts are crucial in understanding the broader strategic objectives of both sides. Stay tuned as we explore how these relentless engagements are shaping the overall dynamics of this conflict. Mr. Douglas has remarked on the complexity and intensity of the Ukrainian response as the tension escalates. Ukrainian forces are not standing idle amidst growing pressure. They've launched robust counteroffensives around Novomyva, a strategic point critical to maintaining access to Ord here. Ukrainian troops are fiercely contesting every inch, determined to prevent Rus forces from completing their encirclement. These maneuvers are not just defensive, but are essential for keeping the eastern sectors of key strongholds from being isolated. By holding Novomylia, Ukrainian forces ensure that Russian tactics aimed at creating strategic enclosures are forwarded, maintaining critical supply routes and communication lines. The resilience and tactical adaptability of Ukrainian units in these areas are testimony to their determination to safeguard their territories. With every counteroffensive, they not only disrupt Russian plans, but also inspired their compatriots, reinforcing the national resolve in the face of adversity. While Ukrainian forces display valor and strategic depth in their counteroffensives, the evolving battlefield poses new challenges, suggesting both sides might be gearing up for a phase that could extend this conflict into an even more grueling ordeal. As we witness these determined defensive efforts, it becomes clear that the battle for Nova MVA is not just about territory, but about maintaining morale and strategic initiative. Join us as we continue to follow these critical developments, understanding their implications on the wider conflict dynamics. According to expert analysis by Mr. Colonel Douglas Macgregor, the battlefields of eastern Ukraine are not only zones of physical conflict but also arenas of intense psychological warfare. Amid the ongoing clashes, an information war escalates as Russian psychological operations deploy threats of severe bombings, compelling Ukrainian forces to consider retreats under the shadow of potential devastation. The dual assault on the body and mind intensifies as the region is plunged into a dangerous deadlock. Both factions are not only clashing with arms but are also fiercely contesting the narrative space, each striving to dominate the psychological landscape and sway public and international opinion to their advantage. As today's report concludes, the shifting dynamics of conflict in eastern Ukraine continually test the resilience and strategic acumen of all parties involved. Keep with us for ongoing updates as this complex situation unfolds, delivering the freshest insights directly from the front lines. Thanks for watching.